What does it mean to be a vulnerable Christian man? Walking through life weak and powerless is not what Jesus had in mind for us. It's time to fight. It's time to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We are Obi, Sean, Brandon, and Shane, and this is
Hello,
The
and
Uncomfortable
welcome
Truth.
back to The Uncomfortable Truth. Do you guys, you ever watch a show and you're like super into it, and then all of a sudden it says, boom, and then there's like those letters and words and then 3 or 4 dots, to be continued. That's what we did to our viewers last episode.
I actually start anticipating it because it's so common in shows that are series.
Yeah.
And then I'm like pleasantly surprised when they go ahead and
They
let you see a little bit more.
It's like American Idol.
Well,
Ryan Seacrest gets up there and he's like, "Are you guys ready for the results? This is American Idol." And then it's like, "All right, your person eliminated is after the break. We'll see you back in a minute."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always frustrating. But what's cool is if you're watching Netflix, you can just
That's
continue
right.
to the next.
That's right.
Hit
That's
that
probably
button.
what's wrong with our culture now.
Yeah.
There's no to be continued anymore.
There's no
Yeah,
delay.
nobody has to wait.
No.
Yeah, that didn't bother the kids nowadays.
I know.
They'll just flick on to the next one.
Just
So
like,
to
"Oh,
be
Go
continued
to the next one. Yeah.
was Sean's story, cool story that kind of lined up with what Brandon was talking about in the last episode about faith. Sean was going to tell us about Antler Works.
Yeah. So this happened just yesterday, and I thought it was pretty cool because one of the things I always do is I try to pray for God's provision and God's just safety and protection over my life and my children's life and my wife, and that's kind of first and foremost, and then of course our businesses and everything that we're doing, all the way down to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that happened yesterday is I had a gentleman. He had been looking for a job. This guy's he's came to Antler Works 4 times, and I've been hearing about him, but nobody's told me. He rides his bike to Antler Works, this Hispanic guy, and he's been looking for a job. And they were like, "Man, he's filled out this application. He does not have a phone, and however." He's been 4 times. This guy wants to work, right?
He's riding his bicycle
Yes.
to fill an application out.
Yes. And anyway, so this is the 4th time he shows up, and I just happen to be here at this time. I'm not always at Antler Works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours a day max, okay? And so I haven't caught this guy yet. Well, he shows up yesterday right about the time, and I was working late. I'm normally out of there before 6 o'clock. Normally it's like 5:30. I'm rolling out and heading to the house, and it's 6 o'clock, and he pulls up and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." And I'm like, "Oh, so you're the guy?" And anyway, we shook hands, talked, and I said, "Hey, I'll see you tomorrow at 8." So kind of hired him, a semi. We're going through a little trial period with him for the next 2 weeks, see how he works out, and then I get in my truck and sit down, and another one of my employees calls and quits over text message.
Wow.
Like within 5 minutes of this happening, it's like God sent us a new guy, and then one of the existing guys quits.
That is not a coincidence.
In
No.
5 minutes.
I didn't think it was. Anyway, it just kind of made me understand that God was over that situation. I felt like he was, and I thought that was pretty cool just to see God kind of help us out there.
That's
And,
kind of like that, that state of mind we talked about in the last episode, and the prompt and faith action. God, are you trying to tell me something? Like all those things are like, if you weren't in that state of mind of thankfulness and, hey, Lord, I'm grateful for this new guy, then sometimes that leads into negativity. Even though you just hired a new guy, it's like, dadgummit, I knew something. I knew, something was going to happen. It's too good to be true. I hired this other guy. It's just a different thought process, a different mindset. And so much of our day-to-day lives lives between our ears, probably 95% of it. And if we don't have the right mindset, then we tend to spiral.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, big piece is I was talking to a dear friend of mine last night that known forever, coach with, and he's in another walk of life now, different business. And we got to visit for probably 20, 30 minutes, and it was great to just kind of hear his mindset. And we were having that exact conversation. I brought up the Earl Nightingale quote from The Strangest Secret, which
Yeah.
is one of my favorites. And he basically says, the brain does not care what you plant in it, but it will most assuredly grow it.
That's a fact.
And, you know, we have the choice, really second by second. I'm always amazed when people tell me there's nothing going through their brain. And that is not a knock on them. I'm like,
How?
What is that like?
Yeah.
How, is that like the coolest thing ever? Because I can't fathom it.
Yeah. Because at any given moment, I feel like I got like 10 different explosions going off in my brain of
Yes.
10 different things. I'm thinking about
bouncing around.
Oh, I can just, I'd blow your mind if I really started telling you what was going on in my head.
If you could hook
nonstop.
into other people's, it'd be interesting, dangerous to hook into other people's brains just to see or hear what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Well,
Think about that.
because a lot of it is all, like I view it like, you know, that sound you think you hear that's so far away that you stop on occasion, you give it focus, and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those thoughts in my mind are like somebody in a distant room, and I can just barely hear it. And then I turn my attention to it, and now it's right there.
Sure. For me, and a lot of people know that I struggle with ADD, and it's something that I've struggled with my entire life. But for me to be present in this moment, whenever you're talking, I am repeating what you're saying in my head so I can stay present in the moment. Otherwise, I'm thinking about the Airbnbs we're building. I'm thinking about Antler Works. I think I need to order Antler. I need to go sell life insurance.
Got to call somebody back.
I can
phone's, your phone's
just
dinging.
Yes, a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
Or chasing them, going to find it here, okay? I mean, like all this stuff is just, but to be present, I have to repeat what you're saying to me.
That's good. So you develop that habit to be present. Now, let me ask you this, Sean. No doubt you are ADD.
Sure.
There's no doubt. How has the Lord used that in your life as a positive?
You know, I feel like that my ADHD is where I get a lot of my drive to go out and to accomplish certain things in life, which is a lot of people might think that's a weird, how does that compute into drive?
Yeah.
You know, but for me, it just does. I mean, and it's really hard. It's kind of hard to explain.
Well, the reason I ask that is because that, God, we are all children of God, and we are all made in His image. Our preacher talked about this last Sunday, and to be in God's image is to have automatic credibility with everybody. If I believe in the Lord and I follow Him and I've accepted Him, and I believe that every person on this earth is a child of God in His image, no matter what, then they deserve my honor and my respect just because of that. Only because they're children. It's like it's similar to like your dad. People know your dad, right? They know your dad, and automatically, if they don't know you, they assume that you're like your dad, like your father.
Sure.
So you have automatic credibility.
That's good.
And when we're made in the image of the Lord, He don't make mistakes. Like we are in His image. And I think people with different disabilities, they're called disabilities. I think it's unfair to build them that way just because you weren't great growing up at sitting in a classroom and learning the same way that 18 other students were. You might have felt like you were different and didn't fit in, or there may be people out there that feel this way. But God made you the way that He made you, specifically in His image. You have value. And there's no other reason that we have value. Like that's it, because He is our Father. He's in our image. And I just want to clear that up for people who may feel like they're living through disabilities when actually this is how God made you, and you can actually prosper.
Sure.
Through that.
100%. So I feel like it's given me drive, and then which has allowed me to accomplish certain things from the world standards, and then to be able to give God all the glory for that. So that's how I feel like it's allowed me to bring God into what some people would see as, hey, that person needs to be on medication, or that person, I think a lot of people are quick to put children on medications whenever they absolutely do not need to be on medications,
Mm-hmm.
1,000%, because I was that kid.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I can remember really later in life, everybody talking about Ritalin and this and that and all these different, and I don't remember that early on, but I do remember like middle school and then getting into high school, it started being a common thing that was prescribed. And anyway, I was never on it. And so because of that, I got labeled, hey, ADHD, you know, whatever.
Right.
And but I took that really, I feel like right out of high school, I was able to take that and kind of turn it into drive.
It's like a superpower almost.
It's weird. Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but
I've got a buddy that's like super ADHD that I, you know, see once or twice a year now. Went to college together, and he's got a motor like you wouldn't believe, like kind of like you, like as far as the motor goes. And I'm thinking like, maybe I need a little bit of this ADHD because my motor don't run like that, brother.
Yeah.
Not that long. It'll run, but not that long.
yeah,
Absolutely.
So, it's interesting.
All right. So today's episode was about ADHD. ADD.
If that's all you got out of it, we're not doing a good job.
No. Really about, you know, struggles that people have and the way they can turn around and
right.
give God all the glory for that struggle and understand it's there for a reason, right?
You summed that up a lot better than I did. Thank you, Sean. We appreciate y'all being here today. Help us reach more people for Jesus. Hit those buttons at the bottom, like, share, subscribe, go kick the day in the face, and we'll catch you on the next one.